Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jason from Leadfluence. Just in case you're not quite sure what Leadfluence is a premier training consulting company. We do a lot of things for leadership growth, personal growth and development. We also help people find and be the best them they can be. One of the things that we're really strong at is the Maxwell DISC personality indicator. So it's a DISC assessment, just a fancier name for it. And I personally am a certified trainer and consultant in DISC. So today, and I apologize that it's been a while since we've done a video. I know it's been a couple of weeks, just with the holidays and everything and work, things get kind of crazy and hectic, I'm sure you can probably understand. And before we get started, I want to show you all my cool fancy new cup. So it's a new Kansas City Chiefs cup. Yes, I know in the past couple of videos you have seen my Remarkable Together cup. Yeah, I'm going to retire that for the weekend because it's football weekend and go Chiefs. So today, we got a special treat in store for everybody. We are going to be talking about the Law of Intentionality from John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I will have a link down in the description on how you can purchase this book if you want to, but it's an amazing book. And it lays out, different laws that you can follow to help you on your personal growth journey. Because in order for you to be a leader or to be a great leader or to be a better you have to grow. And grow is never easy. Grow is painful. Growth takes a lot of effort. And with this book, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, John lays out different laws that you can follow to help you along on your growth journey. So that's what we're going to spend the day talking about. We're going to talk about law number 1, which is the law of intentionality. Let me say that again really quick. Intentionality. I struggle with that word, and I promise I'll keep struggling with it as we go through this video. All right, so what the law of intentionality states is, and what it is it basically says that growth doesn't just happen. Growth by itself will never just happen. You actually have to plan, you have to make an effort on your growth journey for that growth to actually occur. Plants will grow by themselves, but you have to help take care of that plant. The plant needs water, the plant needs fertilizer, it needs air, it needs sunlight. A plant needs all of these different fuels and nutrients and everything for that plant to go from a seed into a full-on like cucumber, right? Or a tree or whatever plant that you really want. It's Christmas time, so we'll say like cranberries and Christmas trees. But a plant itself, without having the right soil or the right water levels, I don't know a lot about plants, I'm just making things up, so bear with me, all right? But without having a lot of these things that they need, this plant is never going to grow. It's going to stay a dormant seed in the soil and never actually reach its potential. So, there's a lot of questions that you need to ask yourself to start your growth journey and to be intentional about your growth. How do you get better at what you do? How do you gain insight? How do you overcome obstacles? Should you work longer? Should you work harder? Should you just wait for things to get better? But let me tell you something. Working harder does not guarantee success. Hope is not a strategy, okay? If you try to work harder at something, that is great. You should definitely try to work as hard as you can at things. But without being intentional about what you're doing, then you're just working without a purpose or a reason. You're working just to work at something. If you're trying to grow in your life, maybe you're trying to improve your leadership lid. And just a quick aside, a leadership lid is another John Maxwell terminology or a phrase which comes from the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And basically John says in the law of the lid that if you are able to raise your leadership lid, which basically a lid is like a level, then your organization, your group, or your family, whatever you're leading will actually grow along with you. All right, so if you're not being intentional about your growth, if you're not making a plan or taking steps every single day to achieve it, you're working hard at something without a plan. Now, but if you have a plan, at least you have a goal in mind and an end game. So I completely just went really weird on that. All right, so again, hope isn't a strategy. You can't hope to grow. You can't hope that, I mean, you can, yes. Don't, let me rephrase that. You can hope it will get better, right? But if you hope in one hand and put a book in another, which fills up faster? The book, right? So if you focus on your goals, you may hit your goals, but that does not guarantee growth. But if you focus on your growth, you will grow and then you will hit your goals. So goal setting is awesome. It's always good to set goals. You know, you should set a goal for everything. You should have an action plan to work towards your goals. But if you're just focused strictly on your goals and not focused strictly on your growth, then you're never going to grow. You'll hit a goal, awesome. But if you're not setting a goal for growth and you're not focused on that growth goal, then you're never going to achieve real growth. And again, when you focus on your growth, you will grow and always hit your goals. You know, people are always very anxious to improve their circumstances, but a lot of people are unwilling to improve themselves. Therefore, they remain bound exactly where they are. So unless people are willing to improve themselves, their circumstances will never change. They will stay the same weight. They will stay in the same job. They will never really move up that ladder that they want to be where they are or where they want to go. They're just going to stay where they are. Some people like the status quo. Personally, I'm not one of those people. You know, I don't want to stay at the same level I am now 10 years from now. If I am not better, if I don't feel like I'm a better person 10 years from now than I am today, I failed. And I have failed miserably. So, again, people are always anxious to improve their circumstances, but they are unwilling to improve themselves. If you are not willing to make that sacrifice and those changes in your lives, you're going to stick exactly where you are and you're never going to grow. Excuse me. So, in order to grow and in order to make those changes and in order to be intentional about your growth, you need to make sure that you are looking for these things that we like to call the growth gap. So growth gap is basically you're looking at yourself now and you're looking at yourself where you want to be and you're trying to fill in that space, that big old gap that's created right there. That's what you're trying to fill in right now when you're identifying these growth gaps. So when you understand where you want to go, where you are now, and how to get to where you want to be and being intentional about your growth, setting a growth plan and working your plan and everything like that, you can actually close that gap, right? But in order for you to close that growth gap, now I'm about to be really tongue-tied, you have to be aware about growth gap traps. If you have dreams, goals, or aspirations, you need to grow to achieve them, right? I mean, it's pretty fair to say, like, if you're not growing to achieve those goals and aspirations, then you're never going to reach your potential. But if you are taking steps to achieve those goals, those dreams and aspirations, then you'll be able to reach your potential. But most people have one or more mistaken beliefs or misconceptions that will keep them from growing and reaching their potential and reaching all their goals. And these are what we call, of course, the growth gap traps. And these are going to be 8 misconceptions that I'm about to share with you about growth that may be holding you back from being as intentional as you want to be with your growth. Because remember, growth does not just happen. Growth happens daily, not in a day. I cannot wake up tomorrow and read one book and say, woo, I've grown in my life. No, you actually have to do that every single day, constantly and consistently. There is this quote that I love, and it's about the compound effect. So small incremental changes done daily will have a massive impact on your future. And I don't know why I can't talk on a Saturday afternoon. Again, small incremental changes done daily will have a massive impact on your future. And that means you are being intentional about your growth. That's exactly what that quote means. So there are a lot of misconceptions again, and I'm going to cover 8 different misconceptions with you right now. The first misconception, number 1, is the assumption gap. And the assumption gap states, I will assume that I will automatically grow when we are children. We do kind of sort of grow automatically, right? Because you go from a baby to a toddler to a child to a teenager, and then your parents don't like you anymore. Just playing. I still like my son, and he's 9. Anyway, but when we are children, we grow automatically, and many people carry that same thought process subconsciously into adulthood, believing that mental, spiritual, and emotional growth will follow a similar pattern that you did when you were a child. So as time goes by, they feel like that they're simply, or people are just simply going to get better. But the problem is that we don't really improve by simply living. Simply living. We have to be intentional about it. Nobody improves by accident. Personal growth really does not happen on its own. Michael de Montaigne observed, no wind favors him who has no destined port. It's like saying you have a ship without a captain, right? Or if you're trying to go across the ocean in a sailboat and you don't know where you're going to go, that wind's just going to blow you wherever it wants to, right? The same thing with the assumption gap. I'm assuming I am just going to grow, I'm just going to let life happen, and I'll grow eventually. No, doesn't work like that. If you want your life to improve, you must improve yourself. You must have and make a tangible target in order to do it. All right, assumption, or the misconception, the growth gap trap number 2. So I can do 2 this time. I did 2, 1, but yeah, 2. Is the knowledge gap. The knowledge gap basically says, I don't know how to grow. Well, I mean, not everybody actually knows how to start, right? But let me ask you this. Do you have a growth plan? I can bet that almost anybody watching this video right now, or almost anybody in your world or even my world, actually even knows or has a growth plan. Many people learn only from the school of hard knocks. Difficult experiences teach them lessons the hard way. And they change sometimes better, and they change sometimes for the worse. The lessons that they learn are actually very random and difficult, and it's much better to actually plan your growth, to be intentional and intentionally plan your growth. Because then when you're intentionally planning your growth, you get to decide where you want to grow. You get to choose what lessons that you will learn, and you will follow through with discipline, going at a pace that you set. See the big difference there? I mean, yeah, maybe you don't know how to get started, you don't know how to grow, but you're not going to know if you don't get started, if you don't start reading books, if you don't reach out to somebody who is a growth expert or anything like that, because you don't have a starting point. I mean, yeah, you can try to figure it out on the way, which you can. I mean, it does happen, but again, start planning today. What I would do is I would look at my calendar for the next 12 months. I would set aside 1 hour at least per day, every single day, to do something, to read a book, to listen to a podcast, to watch a YouTube video on growth. So like and subscribe. Watch a YouTube video on growth every single day. Take those daily steps, right? Have a plan. Make me time. When you're making me time, you're making time to grow. And that's part of the growth plan, right? Setting aside at least 1 hour per day for your personal development and growth. You are literally the best investment that you can make. Gold is not the best investment. Stocks are not the best investment. Foreign exchanges are not the best investments. The best investment you can ever make is in yourself. Take that time to actually really invest in yourself, so that way you can have your growth plan and get rid of that knowledge gap. Get rid of the assumption gap. Because we know, again, with the assumption gap, Growth does not happen daily or in a day. Growth happens daily, not in a day. I don't know how to grow, but if you don't set aside time to actually learn how to grow, you're never going to know. All right. Sorry about that tangent. Let's go on to number 3, which is the timing gap. It's not the right time to begin. Let me give you a riddle here real quick. There are 5 frogs sitting on a log. 4 of the frogs decide to jump off. How many frogs are left on that log? I'm going to sit here, take a sip of water, epically take a sip of water, and I am going to wait for you to figure that one out, and I'll tell you the answer in a moment. All right. If you responded that there is 1 frog left, guess what? You're wrong. You want to know why you're wrong? I know you want to know why. It's because there are still 5 frogs left. Why are there 5 frogs, you might be asking yourself or asking me? Because there was 5, 4 decided to jump off. So that would be 4 minus 1, or 4 minus 5 is 1, right? Well, that would be -1, so 5 minus 4 would be 1. Anyway, it's because there's a difference between deciding to do something and actually doing it. I could decide to do something all day long, but never actually do it. I could decide to go brush my teeth, but if I don't actually go brush my teeth, have I brushed them? Just saying. All right, so because there is definitely a difference between deciding and doing. American politician Frank Clark once said, "What great accomplishment we'd have in the world if everybody had done what they intended to do." I'm going to repeat that one more time. What great accomplishment we'd have in the world if everybody had done what they intended to do. Just think about it. If everybody did what they intended to do, think about how much better this world would be. If everybody kept their promises, if everybody decided to just make a change and do things for the better, just think of where we would be right now. We wouldn't have a lot of the issues that we currently have in today's society. Not just here in the US, but worldwide. We would be a much better place if everybody decided or did what they intended to do. Well, should take that back. The good things, right? Not the bad things, not the bad things. But most people, what they do, they don't act quickly or as quickly as they should on things. They find themselves subject to what is called the law of diminishing intent, which really says, or which states, the longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater odds that you will never, ever, ever actually do it. So for those of you not paying attention in the back, again, the law of diminishing intent says the longer you wait to do something you should do right now, the greater the odds that you will never actually do it. So a life lived for tomorrow will always be at least one day away from being realized. The reality is that you will never get much done unless you go ahead and do it before you are ready. Do it before you're ready. The timing is not perfect. The timing will never be perfect. To be honest, it won't. Do it afraid, do it scared. We like to say in the John Maxwell organization, jump and earn your wings as you fall. All right, just do it. If you don't think now is the right time to grow, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start the next day, I'll start the next day. You're never gonna start. Just start today. Seriously, do it now. What does Nike say? Just do it. So just be like Nike, right? Just do it. Get started today. Get your butt off the sofa. Wherever you're at right now watching this video, open up your calendar. Make some plans to start growing. Got it? All right. If you're not already intentionally growing, you need to start today. If you don't, you may reach some goals, which of course you can celebrate your goals, but you're eventually going to plateau. You're eventually going to just level out and just stay at that level again, until you kick yourself in the butt one more time and decide to start growing, and then you're probably not going to be serious again like you were last time and just level out. Start growing, start today, be serious about it, keep that plan, keep those goals in mind, and work your growth plan daily. Because once you start growing intentionally, you can keep growing, and you're going to ask yourself, what's next? Once you start growing, personal growth is almost like an addiction. And once you see what you can accomplish, you're never going to stop. And the cool thing about personal growth is, and the law of being intentional about your personal growth is you get to pick what you want to grow in. Like, you don't have to grow in 18 different things at one time. When I coach people, I like to coach people on one focus at a time. And that's just because I don't want you to be overwhelmed. When you're growing like this, or you're starting your growth plan, just pick one area to start growing in. Maybe you want to start growing in your finances. Maybe you want to start growing in your weight loss journey or your health journey, or even just bettering yourself or understanding yourself by taking a DISC assessment. Whatever you're deciding to grow, whatever area you want to be in, then there's never a wrong time to start. Well, there is if you keep waiting. Start now. Start today. And believe it or not, you've actually already started by watching this video. So yay, kudos to you, Mr. Awesome or Mrs. Awesome. All right, the next one. This is let's recount these really quick. We've got the assumption gap, the knowledge gap, the timing gap. We are on number 4. The mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes is what the mistake gap says. Let me tell you something. Growing can be a very, 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 very messy business. It means admitting that you do not have all the answers. It does require to make mistakes. It can make you look foolish at times. And I know most people don't like to look foolish. Luckily for me, I don't care. However, it does require that you make mistakes, and it requires making mistakes. Most people, of course, they don't like to make mistakes. They don't like to look foolish, but it's worth the price of admission if you want to improve. If you want to grow, you need to get over any fear that you may have of making a mistake. As author and professor Warren Bennis asserts, a mistake is simply another way of doing things. To become intentional about growing, expect to make mistakes every day. And welcome them as a sign that you're moving in the right direction. When Edison made the light bulb, it took Edison over 1,000 times to actually perfect the light bulb. And when he was being interviewed after he finally perfected the light bulb, the guy doing the interview asked Edison, he's like, it took you 999, you failed 999 times to make a light bulb. Edison said, no, I learned 999 ways not to make a light bulb. About perspective, right? Yes, mistakes are going to happen. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. Because you know what? You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to get better as you grow, and you're going to learn. I think I've said this before in a previous video. If not, I'm sorry. But one of the things I usually tell my trainees in my training classes is that training is a safe place to fail. And fail is really just an acronym for the first attempt in learning. Make mistakes while you're growing. It's fine. It's going to happen. It's actually going to help you even more when you make a mistake, because you're going to learn from it and continue on your growth journey and your growth plan. All right, the next one, number 5. Yes, 5 is the perfection gap. The perfection gap says, I have to find the best way before I start. Now, this is very similar to the mistake gap. And it's because you're trying to find a desire to find the best way to get started in your growth plan. You have to get started if you want to find the best way. It's similar to driving on an unfamiliar road at nighttime, right? Ideally, you'd like to be able to see your whole route before you begin, but as you progress, but you see it progressively. As you move forward, a little more of the road is revealed to you. If you want to see more of the way, then just get moving. It's very simple, right? There is no perfect way to start. There is no perfect timing to start. You know the perfect way to start and the perfect time to start? Right now is the perfect time. The perfect way is watching this video, watching another video, buying a book like this one, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, or even another one such as, I don't know, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. It doesn't have to even be John Maxwell, right? It could be another book. It could be a book about, here's a good one. It's called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. There's tons of books out there. There's tons of ways to get started. There is a lot of ways to get started, right? There's no perfect way. There's no perfect time. Just do it. Read a book, watch a podcast, do whatever you need to do to help you get started. The next one, number 6, if you're keeping count at home, is the inspiration gap. I don't feel like doing it. Really? Just do it. We hear it almost every day. People are sighing. They're saying to themselves, I just can't get motivated to do X, Y, Z. Guess what? Motivation is not going to strike you like lightning. And motivation is not something that someone else can bestow or force on you. The whole idea of motivation is a trap. Forget motivation. Forget having somebody motivate you. You have to do it yourself. So get up and just do it. Do it without motivation. And then guess what's going to happen? After you start doing the thing, that's when the motivation will start to come, and then it'll make it easier for you once you're actively engaged in doing it. And then guess what? The motivation, the growth, it will just sneak up on you, and it's going to, bam, zap you when you least expect it. But guess what? If you haven't started yet, it's never going to come. Motivation is fake. I'm not going to lie to you. Motivation is fake. Motivation is a trick. It's a trap that Hallmark uses to sell greeting cards. Okay, not really that part. But yes, I know motivation is $1 billion industry. People pay lots of money to go see motivational speakers. Nobody can motivate you but you. And that's really what it boils down to. I can go watch Tony Robbins all day long. I can watch John Maxwell all day long. I can watch whoever all day long. And if I'm not willing to do it, no matter what they say, it can't really motivate me. Does that make sense? You have to be willing to motivate yourself to do something, to do anything. Now, you're going to discover that if you stick with the process of personal growth and development, pick an area that you want to grow in, make a plan to do that every single day, to grow in that area every single day. You know what's eventually going to happen besides motivation striking you like lightning? You're going to fall in love with the process. And once you fall in love with the process, you will continue down that growth journey, and you're never, ever, ever going to want to stop. All right, number 6, I think we're on now. The comparison gap. Others are better than I am. That's probably true. There are people who are way better at me than at what I'm doing right now. You know what? It doesn't matter though, because when you start your journey, you will be exposed to bigger and better leaders, bigger and better whatever you're trying to grow in than you. You need to be exposed to them to grow. Great men and women will be willing to share their ideas with you in that area that you're trying to grow in. You can learn from others if they are ahead of you. You need to learn to be comfortable out of your comfort zone. You can't learn from somebody you're ahead of. Well, a long time ago, I ran cross country and track in high school, back when I was in much better shape than I am now. But I am on a weight loss journey, and I'm proud to tell you that I'm down to 225 pounds from 260-ish pounds. So, yay me. But I used to run cross country and track in high school, and I had to push myself. I wasn't the fastest person out there. I wasn't the slowest, thank goodness. But I couldn't run with the slow people who were much slower than me, because how could I get faster? How could I get better? How could I get stronger if I wasn't pushing myself past to where I was comfortable? That is part of growth, is you have to find your comfort zone and go past that. It's the same thing with almost everything. You find that comfort zone, and if you're comfortable, go past to where you're comfortable. Push past it, because then you know what's going to happen? That comfort zone went from here to here to here to here because you keep pushing it out. Eventually, if your comfort zone's here, you're out here, eventually you're going to reach that comfort zone and have to make it bigger. Does that make sense, everybody who's watching? All right. So that is the comparison gap, right? You're comparing yourself against other people. It's like, keeping up with the Joneses. But the cool thing about personal growth is that in the law of intentionality is that you don't have to keep up with the Joneses. You have to keep up with you. And that's it. Just keep up with yourself. All right, the last one is the expectation gap. I thought it would be easier than this. I don't know any successful person in any industry who thinks growth came easily, quickly, or that even climbing to the top is easy. It just doesn't happen, people. You know what though? People do create their own luck, and you're probably wondering how. Well, there is math involved. So let me give you a formula really quick. Okay, it's more of a word problem, but don't worry. Preparation, which is parentheses growth plus attitude plus opportunity plus taking action about it equals luck. But guess what though? It all starts with preparation. Unfortunately, I know preparation takes time. If you want to reach your goals and fulfill your potential, become intentional about personal growth. And guess what? It will change your life. It will. So, those are the growth gap traps, all right? There's 8 of them. I'm not going to go back again because there's a lot. The cool thing about YouTube is, though, you can rewind. All right, so let's talk about making a transition on the personal growth. And I promise you we're starting to get on the tail end of this lesson for today. All right, so when you're making that initial transition into personal growth, when you want to start growing intentionally and following law number 1, the law of intentionality, you need to start making that transition from not growing to growing. And you need to ask yourself right now, I mean, literally right now, you need to ask yourself a really big question. And the big question is, besides like, how can I start? Or what do I need to do? Or things like, how long will this take? Change that question in your mind from something like, how long will this take, to how far can I go? This is the question you should be asking yourself literally right at this moment. Not that you'll be able to answer that question right now, but start asking yourself every single day, how far can I go in this journey? The answer will probably surprise you. You're probably not going to want to stop. Anyway, this question will help you set the direction of your personal growth, but not the distance. I mean, of course, the best that you can hope for in life is to make the most out of what you have been given. But you do that, making the most of what you've been given, you do that by investing in yourself first and making yourself be the best you can be. Give growing your best so you can become your best. As I said earlier, do it now. No, seriously though, do it now, all right? Start growing today. Make that effort to continue that personal growth journey. Before you get out of bed every single morning, like when your eyes open up, before you check that cell phone of yours, tell yourself or say to yourself, do it now 50 times. At the end of the day, before you go to sleep, the last thing you should say to yourself is, do it now 50 more times. Because what this is going to do, this is going to give you a tremendous sense of urgency. The greatest danger you face right now in this moment is the idea that you will make intentional growth a priority later. Don't fall into that trap. That trap is a dream killer. Later is a dream killer. Later will not get you anywhere. Tomorrow never actually happens. You know why? Because we're technically always in today. But later is a dream killer. I'm going to do it later. I'm going to do it later. You're never going to do it. Because remember the law of diminishing intent, or diminishing intent. The longer you wait to do something you should do right now, the smaller the chances you'll actually do it. Don't wait. Start now. All right. So we need to face the fear factor as well, right? There are several fears that keep people from being successful. And here are the 5 of them I'm going to tell you today. The fear of failure. Nobody likes to fail, right? And you're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. Get over it. Don't be scared. Or as the kids say, don't be scared. The fear of what others will say or think. Who cares what others say or think? Does it really matter? This is your life, right? You live your life the way that you want to live it. If you want to grow in something, don't care what they say, because as soon as you start growing, as soon as you start seeing improvement, the haters are going to come out. Who cares? This is you. Do you, all right? The next fear is the fear of trading security for the unknown. I mean, if your whole idea is to start a business and right now you got this really comfortable, steady job, there is an unknown. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job, but what I would recommend is start that business somehow, some way, right? And the next one is the fear of being overextended financially. I mean, a lot of these growth materials, books are expensive. They're not free. What you can do, though, is you can find a mentor. You can find somebody to tag along with. You can find somebody to grow with and split the cost, right? Go to the public library. Check these books out. They're great. All right. The fear that you will alienate with your success, you'll alienate your peers. If your peers are alienated by your success, are they really your peers? I mean, really, are they? If they don't want you to be successful, are they really your friends? But you know what, though? Which of these fears really impact you? Guess what? It doesn't really matter because we all have fears. But there is some good news. We all have faith. So, which emotion do you want to feed? Your fear, or do you want to feed your faith? Which emotion are you going to be allowed to be stronger? Your fear or your faith? I say starve your fear, but feed your faith. All right, so you need to start changing from accidental to intentional growth. If you ever want to reach your potential and become the person that you, yes, you right there, were created to be. You must do much more than just experience life and hope that you will learn what you need to along the way. You must go out of your way and seize growth opportunities as if your future depended on it, because guess what? It does. Growth just doesn't happen. You need to go out and get it. And guess what? Again, like I told you earlier, you've already taken that first step by watching this video. All right, y'all. That's it for today. Again, thank you all so much for your past half hour or so, however long this video has been. I'm not even looking at the time right now to see how long it's been. But thank you all so much for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned something. As always, click like, subscribe, the bell icon notifications, or the bell icon for more notifications, comment down below, and I will have some links in the descriptions for the 3 books that I mentioned: the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the Obstacle is the Way, and the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I'll also have a link of a good way to start growing is with a Maxwell disc indicator report, and I'll have a link on how you can take one of those down below as well. Thanks a lot, and have a great weekend and a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and I believe Festivus just happened, so see you on the flip side.